Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jerome. I'm new to making YouTube videos and I really want to make a video on The Office because not only is it my personal favorite comedy TV show, but also to compare two distinctly different episodes that are on the opposite sides of the popularity spectrum. I'm interested in the storytelling elements that make or break our appeal towards it, so I'm going to dive into what one episode did right and what the other one did wrong. The Office is a great show, but you can't be riding high at all times. So it begs the question, how did such a successful show that had everything going for itself also fail at times? And no, it's not because Steve Carell left the show, because there were certainly some funny episodes without him. So I decided to compare and analyze two of the best and worst ranked episodes by both critics and audiences to show how an incredibly successful show can fail to entertain us if they are not careful or become careless in their writing. I hope this video proves that even if one is successful, it is not given that they will continue to be successful and that you always have to try your best, even if you are at the top. I'm going to use three criteria for the comparison, which is narrative plot, laughs, and emotional weight. With that being said, the first criteria is clear conflict and resolution within the episodes. Any great story lays out obstacles clearly for the audiences to follow and see it overcome. We see this within the Dundies episode where Michael hosts the annual motivational award show for his employees at the local restaurant Chili's. The conflict within this episode is clear right from the beginning when corporate refuses to fund the award party, which interferes with Michael's comedy act because drunk people tend to laugh easier. Michael also learns that some people don't love the Dundies as much as him, so he's even more motivated. Things also get worse for Michael when he faces a group of hecklers who try to ruin the show. Couple Michael's conflict with Pam during the award show because Michael always gives her the longest engagement award for 3 years going into 4. We as audience members recognize these conflicts right away within the narrative and look forward to their resolution. Comparing this to the Gettysburg episode where the conflict is not cleared at all and one we've seen before. Andy attempts to rally his employees with a trip out to Gettysburg while some employees choose to stay behind at the office. But they are paid a surprise visit by Robert California, who gathers them around to hear game-changing ideas that could improve the company. The conflict here is confusing because Andy is trying to rally them up, but the Scranton branch has been performing well with good numbers and growth, so why the trip? It is only later we learned that it was a masquerade for Andy to try to get his staff to like him, which really only exists in Andy's head and not actually true. There is no real conflict in Andy's way because unlike Michael in the Dundies episode, Andy actually has the funding for a fun motivational trip. The other conflict in the episode is that the remaining employees worry if Robert will suddenly discover their incompetence. This does not strike as an urgent conflict because, like I said, even if Robert does discover the truth, the Scranton branch is performing well, so their jobs are safe. This brings me to the resolution aspect, but the Gettysburg episode not only lacks a concrete narrative conflict, but also fails to resolve the issues properly. In the end, Robert does discover their incompetence, so the staff failed at overcoming their conflict, and guess what happens next? Nothing. All their worrying was unwarranted, which is just so dissatisfying to watch. Andy takes out his employees as an excuse to rally them, but really he just wants to be liked. And he does stupid things like not give the staff food or rest after long walking distances. It was bad enough that only half the staff chose to follow him, but even the ones that did are not happy because of his own stupid mistakes. The plot is actually only resolved in Andy's failure to motivate the employees when Jim and Gerald just feel bad for him and give him a pep talk. The resolution is actually a failure where the protagonist realizes he was wrong and should not have even tried in the first place. Compare this to the Dundies episode where the award show is in peril but saved by Pam. She ends up getting drunk and promotes Michael to not quit the show after being heckled by a group of jerks. With Jim's help, she boosts Michael's morale and everybody else follows her lead. The award show continues in full swing and the remaining awards are handed out, including the one Pam dreads. But this problem is also resolved because Jim had seen Pam worrying and tricked Michael into giving her a different award. We as audience members are relieved to not see her suffer after she was the one who cheered Michael up to continue. She wins instead the Whitest Sneaker Award and gives an emotional speech, and the award show becomes successful. Later on, a drunken Pam confesses and repents her writing negative things about Michael in the ladies' room. We see a resolution and closure across all problems we've experienced in the episode and can move on to the next one, which we cannot say for the Gettysburg episode. The next criteria is laughs. Comedy is subjective and people have different senses of humor, so some people will naturally disagree with this. That being said, the writing in Gettysburg comes across as lazy to me, where some of the quote-unquote game-changing ideas were written to be funny but really didn't have that effect because they were out of character, such as Stanley pitching an idea for women's paper. Since when does Stanley care about women if he's cheating on 2 of them? Dwight discovering his farm was used by fruity people doing, well, this during the Civil War took way too long in narrative development, with Oscar and Dwight arguing to be worth the punchline. Robert mistaking Kevin's suggestions as metaphor to office products was situationally funny, but was cut short by Ryan's intervention that could have gone on to further episodes as a long-running joke. Gabe as Abe was an amusing little segment where we see his character get the spotlight, but his jokes were meant to make his tourist audiences laugh with mere witty one-liners. But that type of comedy within the show is different from the comedy meant for us as audience members that we expect. The Dundies, on the other hand, offers a lot more laughs. The awards given out by Michael were amusing because they were within his character, such as Kelly getting the Spiciest Curry Award, Kevin the Most Smelliest Bowel Movement Award, the Tight Ass Award given to Angela, and the Bushiest Beaver Award given to Phyllis. We see Michael butchering the lyrics to a lot of songs and doing an impression of his fictional Chinese character named Ping. It's also funny to see him make stereotypical jokes throughout the episode, which I'm not gonna lie is funny, and we don't see comedy like that from Andy. Michael's character just hit different, and Andy does not compare in terms of comedy value. This is mostly because Michael's character was well written, and although Andy has his moments, they were just not in this particular episode, in which the comedic premise was that he tried to get his people to like him that already like him. In terms of emotional weight, in the Dundies episode, we see the beginnings of long-lasting arcs held in the Office universe. We finally see progress in the long-awaited romance of Jim and Pam. After receiving her award, Pam is ecstatically drunk and kisses Jim, who was then rewarded for his kind gesture made earlier. This is the perfect use of cause and effect, where Jim's cause of speaking to Michael had the effect of him changing her award, which then became the cause of Pam kissing Jim. This warms our heart as audience members because his care for her did not go unrewarded, and if you weren't already on board with their romance, you certainly end up rooting for them after this episode. Near the end, Pam actually wants to ask Jim something private about their relationship, but she becomes aware of the cameras and decides not to, which foreshadows into the next episode, and we become even more invested. We also come to first know of Michael's crush on Ryan that makes for long-lasting jokes across many seasons. In this episode, Michael also shows character growth by showing that he genuinely cares for his co-workers by acknowledging them with some good awards as well as some absurd ones, such as the hardest worker given to Stanley to make them feel better about themselves. This is a step up from Michael from the previous season, who although was hilarious but was also a douche, so we fall in love with him a little bit more after this episode. After the hiccup start to the award show, everybody ends up being happy and enjoying the rewards they received. They come together as a group, with Michael even complimenting Dwight as a host partner. The employees actually feel recognized and inspired, even though it was accidentally achieved, but they call it the best Dundies ever. Let's compare this to the Gettysburg episode, where there's literally no emotional weight because Andy fails to motivate his staff. After doing a random tour instead of an official one, Andy instead realizes with the help of Jim and Daryl that his analogy of a paper company with war is inaccurate and the whole episode seems pointless. It begs the question in our minds then, what was even the point of a trip out to Gettysburg? Andy tries to get his co-workers to like him, but they already like him, which was evident through the garden party episode and the tattoo on his butt episode. It's just another episode of make Andy feel better nonsense, which is repeated too many times and has lost its effect. The episode's comedy is supposed to be that Andy does not realize this, but it is so overplayed that it is simply not funny anymore and very predictable with no emotional or comic payoff. Compare this to the Dundies, where Michael actually ends up inspiring his employees. Andy sets out on a goal to bring the employees together but ends up ruining their day, while the award show is successful and everybody's motivated to go to work the next day. In the other narrative, Robert doesn't get a single good idea from the employees to improve the company's value. Not a single one. The episode had the potential to shed spotlight on a character like Kevin to get us further invested in him, but the show instead chose not to give anybody a chance to shine, and nothing is accomplished. No new arc is developed, nor do we see any progress in existing ones. The Gabe as Abe monologue was amusing, but really had nothing to do with the overall arcs in The Office and completely random. Kevin's basic idea of the vending machine being taken by Robert as an analogy to the paper industry is funny, but is ruined by Ryan's jealousy, who makes Robert realize that Kevin has no deeper meaning behind his words. In the end, the Gettysburg episode is separated into two groups, and both groups do not accomplish anything. Gettysburg has the feel of Anything Goes, where random sets of events take place. It is merely a filler episode that does not progress the overall story by not advancing the show's core plot lines or providing any new insight on characters. Overall, the two episodes are vastly different in entertainment, and it proves that the recipe for success alone does not guarantee success if the execution is poor. One episode has great plot and resolution, while the other one offers a redundant conflict with a predictable outcome. The Dundies offers much better laughs, while the Gettysburg episode has some funny moments that don't make us laugh out of our seats. In the end, there is no emotional weight to the overall Office universe, such as relationships, career goals, or character development in the Gettysburg episode, while in the Dundies, we see the beginnings of long-lasting arcs and emotional attachment to characters' lives. That's going to be it for this video. You made it this far, so please click the like and subscribe button to help me grow. Thank you and have a great day.